The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com, Smash Masters Derby Parts, Derby Inc. Magazine, Live It, Breathe It, Be It, Derby Inc. The 2014 Bash for Cash, May 24th and 25th, Washington Courthouse, Ohio. And the Keystone Nationals, a Bo Lockwood Motorsports production, July 19th at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds in Brookville, Pennsylvania. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, good day. Welcome to the Crash Course Podcast. I'm Chris Marquardt. We've got a stacked show tonight. We're talking a little bit about Bash for Cash. We're going to be catching up with Russ Clark a little bit later on. We're going to be talking with Brian Nerat at the top of the show. And we've got a busy weekend coming up. Ultimate Derby's got their show in Ottawa this weekend. May Mania out in Utah with Stir and Dirt there this weekend. And then we've also got Hollywood's got Drive for Five in Antigua, Wisconsin. Stacked weekend. So next Monday's show is shaping up to be a pretty busy one as well. We're going to be getting into it with Brian Nerat, talking about the evolution of parts and where things were, where things are, and the direction that things are going. And then we're going to talk with Russ on the backside of that a little bit about how tough it is now with the constant evolution of these aftermarket parts, and if he wants heads up or not when these guys are developing new equipment. So we'll be getting into that a little bit later on. Going to interrupt Josh. The camera's on you, so you can put your phone down, big guy. Josh Decker's here.
Business.
And Ben Haas also joining us here in studio. Brian's here. I mean, what show are you looking forward to the most for this weekend? I mean, we got so much stuff to pick from in different parts of the country, different rules, different flavors of stuff. There's a lot going on.
I'd like to see video from May Mania, just because stuff is usually crazy in Utah. Usually crazy.
And a ton of Mopars.
Yeah, and a ton of Mopars.
I'm going off the box. I kind of Drive for Five.
Drive for Five is going to be awesome.
I've always heard good things about it. I've always wanted to see it.
So do you call that a stock show?
No.
They do.
Yeah.
No, I know. That area does.
Yeah, that area does. But I mean, it's.
I believe
there's some great drivers and great cars that are going out there. That's going to be a fun show to watch.
I think stocks. They shouldn't use
relative
stock
term
at all for a show. It should be just. It should just be
But their frame of reference
builds,
is
mild builds,
something like that.
These are the same guys that call limited well Blizzard Bash cars.
Right. That's exactly right.
Well, that's the thing. You got to limit your welding each day, so you don't get sun or you don't get skin cancer right away from all the radiation.
Your eyes hurt after a while.
I mean, it's a fun weekend, and right now, really, we're ready to kick off the season. A couple weeks ago, we had Spring Explosion, and that took off like crazy, and then the T-Bone was out there. There's a lot of action. I'm interested to see what happens in the Far West show. What's coming up with the show out in Utah? Obviously, I want to know about the Mopars. I mean, I'm excited to know about that. But good friend of the show and friend of Smashed Empire Films. He ran the in-car camera for us at the Napa Winter Slam, Garden City, Minnesota. Greg Mayer, he's supposed to be going out there. And I'm not sure where Jill and Chris Lancaster are landing. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be out there at the Drive for Five as well.
Yeah, so Drive for Five.
I think Randy Maslowski's taking his Mopar.
He's got a shocker. He sent me a picture. He's like, "Here's my stock car." I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, "Stock car?" I thought he was like making fun of me because he's like, "Well, this thing's not stock at all."
Yeah, with a 4x4 box, cage and kickers, and that's pretty stock.
It's sharp.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. And did he end up squeezing the LS in that?
Yes, he did.
You got that to fit?
Yeah.
He first said he was going to try to stick a big block in it. That's what I was pushing. I'm like, go old school, man. Shove a big block in it. I guess he was fighting it.
Dan Bolton was waiting for the phone call.
Yeah.
He was sitting at home just like, come on, man.
Randy seems to think he's going to run out of car rather quickly out there, but
yeah, but they all do. I mean, that's not a knock on them. Don't take that wrong. They drive
so hard.
Yeah. They don't waste any time either.
No. That's definitely. I mean,
point A to point B.
Well, see, I like shows like that because everyone's got good drivetrain. So even though the car's falling apart around it, that son of a bitch is still moving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's still going, and it looks like hell. And that's actually what the people really like seeing.
Yeah, like what we're going to talk about later. The only reason why is because of the evolution of the parts.
Definitely.
5 years ago, 6 years ago,
it wasn't quite the same.
They'd be,
you would have pulled the drive shaft out.
15, 20 minute less shows.
And that's another good case of that. I finally got to watch the Spring Explosion video on YouTube, and Bobby Brockway. I saw pictures of his car when he got done, and that thing, which most of them were just wienered.
By the way, in terms of the video, Cheaters Videos, I believe they have that just about wrapped up. Cheaters Videos did all the taping out there at Spring Explosion. You support those guys.
I'm getting ready to order mine, but I was, just watching.
Impatient is what you were.
I was
watching
YouTube
the bootleg
bootlegs, and I mean Bobby Brockway's car. That thing was junk. There was nothing left. And he drove. I mean, I had to be the last of his team. But I mean, that thing was still going at the end, and of course he's a pretty good driver, so that helps out. But
him at the end,
it
was like freaking chicken going to the chicken house there, man. I'm telling you, every time you turn around,
in the B main, it came down to like one car and all four of the guard guys. That's not a good spot to be.
No.
Because Jeremy had that brand new motor, and boy, did he open that up on one shot. And they stopped the B main, make sure the guy was all right, and then he continued on.
He had a lot of car left after the first heat.
Yeah.
He got parked up on blocks.
Yeah. It was a hell of a show, man. They definitely put on a good show. They were wrecking stuff.
Yeah, and plenty of action this weekend. I mean, take your pick. If you want to go see UD Rules show, and that's one of their points shows that's going to feed into the end of their season. So that's in Ottawa, and then we've got the one in Utah. That's going to be a good time. We talked about that with Maymania. Yep, with Stern Dirt. And another one that's gaining some traction fast. The format is set up to allow 20 teams in one day. Wadena, Minnesota. Wadena County Fairgrounds. We're going to be out there. It's going to be I don't think it is.
Still crashing that many teams. That's going to take some time.
But then they say that some of their heats they got heats as fast.
I was talking with Darren Agard, who runs that show. We're going to be out there, and you guys have to get out there and find out more about this. You can go right to the Wadena County Fairgrounds website and find out more. Grand Slam is the name of the derby. It's a team format event. Team America holds the record for a heat out there.
1 minute 20 seconds.
1 minute 37 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I'd like to see some video of that.
You will, because we're taping out there. Smash Empire Films will be taping, so you'll have the opportunity.
I will be standing right there. I think. I can't wait to go watch that.
It is going to be impressive, and still waiting for a little bit more information from those guys. Darren's waiting until it's a little bit closer before he releases any information about the teams and the format. There is something for everyone on the card, so you have to go. You have to go be there. This is going to be one of the best shows of August, and it is the first. I guess it's the first formal team derby that they've had there, and right now it's the only team derby I believe in Minnesota. So yeah, those guys.
Yeah, they're going to come unglued.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm looking forward to it.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be a good show.
Junking 4 cars in a minute. Think about this for a second.
Junking. Everybody picked one car, pretty much.
Right.
Well, on top of that, the way that these rules are...
And did they junk them, or they just send them right over the barriers?
Good question.
Good
question.
Either way, I mean,
it was
over.
Yeah.
It was over. And the thing that I like about these rules that are out here, you get on there again. It's Wadena County Fairgrounds online. You can find more information about the rules, and they've got a thread on We Crash Grand Slam in Wadena. The rules are allowing everybody. They're structured so that they're not telling you that you need to drive a new style Ford. You can drive a new style Ford and you can make it hard, but you can drive an Electra and make it hard. You can drive an old Ford and make it hard. You can drive a T-Bird and make it hard. So all these guys, the build specs for this show, not only is it a team format, so conceivably
they're uniform.
Conceivably, you could have a team of 4 wagons, right?
Yeah.
It could happen. And the way that the rules are, they're tailored so that these guys can build the car that's in their wheelhouse and bring it and match up with 4 other guys who built a car that was in their wheelhouse. And
let me guess, no Imperials.
Well, of course. Duh.
Obviously, I don't know what you're thinking.
Duh, why would they?
It's Minnesota.
The scaredy cat. Well, that's true.
That's
a good payoff.
It's Minnesota.
Cats, but you're not up there.
It's Minnesota.
I don't believe they're allowing Imperials up there.
People don't cringe when you say Imperial in Minnesota.
I'd like to see a Thunderbird run on some dry track instead of a frozen track.
I had a gentleman call me this week that has been derbying for like almost 30-some-odd years and says to me, "What's this big deal about Imperials? Like, you guys keep talking about them, but what is it?" And it just made me laugh because it's like, man, there's people out there that have been derbying for years and don't even know what's cool about Imperials,
Hey, is Lazimir running the show, Neymania?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him about that. Laz, are you running that show? Let us know.
I just figured he'd have to have some sort of up and ready to go. It's got to be one of their first big shows out
Seen
there.
the last thing he ran was a Vic.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm booing you on that.
Absolutely, I gotta agree.
You know.
Mopar guy going to
know.
a Vic, that ain't
This
good.
Hey, he
Gatorade is
predicted it
the
wasn't going to last very long.
Joining us. I'll unmute that. Joining us on the hotline, we've got Brian Nerat from Nerat Slider Shafts. Brian, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Same to you.
Hey man, thanks a lot for coming on and talking with us a little bit. I understand it's been a little busy up there. You had a busy Mother's Day as well with orders flying in, and you had to get right to the whip today.
Right. We had somebody out on the West Coast ask for a drive shaft, and that's generally about 4 days UPS. So we had to start on it, make it yesterday, and finish it today and ship it in order for them to have it for May Mania.
Wow, that's awesome, though.
That's how you gain customers and keep the ones happy.
Service.
And he's also got stuff that was going out over today and the next couple of days to get more stuff out for Bash for Cash.
Absolutely. We even have some other things that we need to get at in the next day or two for Bash. You know, there's a good dozen people waiting for stuff right now. That orders that have came in and different situations that are arising. It's always changing.
People don't realize how busy Brian actually is up there, and promoters. I'm afraid that some of the promoters might even not realize how much pressure that those guys that do the aftermarket parts are under in the days leading up to a derby. The way that this is structured, I mean, getting phone calls and orders on Mother's Day and having no time to complete it. But that's what customer service is right there. I mean, hands down, Brian was able to get that stuff out and take care of that guy, and man, that probably saved that guy's derby.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now it's we don't like to rely too much on the freight to get it out there, but you know it's out of our
Neither
hands
do we.
now, and in theory it should everything should work out, but it does present its own challenges.
You know, where are things now? I mean, you're telling me a little bit about how you're in a situation now where UPS stops at your facility every day. And when you started out with this, did you expect to be at this level and for on a more national scheme to have Derby be where it is right now?
No, and even some of the parts that we've sold years ago, we're wondering where are they going. You know, how many? Where's the life expectancy of a clutch fan eliminator, a clutch eliminator that was our first part we made, and we actually had I didn't have any way to market it or distribute it, so I gave it to Raptor Fab, David Bryan. I said, would you like to put these on your table? And he said, sure. And that's how it started. And as we started to grow in our parts, there was some point where we just decided we have enough now where it doesn't look like we're going to have a card table at a show and with two parts on it.
Exactly.
You know, and where are things now? I mean, what's the next step? You've got transmission braces, you've got your bell housings, your slider shafts, your eliminators, and all those have basically been generally accepted. But at the same time, you've got that rear end format that hasn't been widely accepted. And you can't really just tailor to the outlaw cars. You're not going to. It doesn't make any business sense. You're not going to move the volume on the outlaw cars. So where are things at for you along those lines, and what's next?
Well, we have some 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. You could take a year and test a part. And I would always test parts in my own car. And I had a year. I had the luxury, but today's everything is so fast paced that you cannot. If you design a product, you don't have a year. You have to market it right now and hope you hit a home run, or hope at least that you did the right homework so that the part does work the first time. And we've had that happen. We haven't been skunked yet. So as we continue to make these parts, we have to test them in actual customers' cars. Some of the new products, I mean, the other products are pretty much spoken for themselves, and issues are not really non-existent. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We've got some parts that we have right now that we haven't gone public with, and we're evaluating. Is there enough market for it? Can we do it? Is it going to be accepted? And then how do we get that acceptance?
Right.
I mean, how tough is it to toe the line between answering the driver's needs and building something that you just simply know will not be accepted by the promoters?
Well, and that is a very touchy situation where we're on the basic headers, shifters, all that stuff has been done already, and now you're talking if you're going to change. There's really the last frontier. Is there anything left? I don't know. Maybe there's a few things
gas
to
line
be.
protectors. That's about the next thing. You got you protect everything else. You might as well, gas line protectors. We'll throw that one out there.
Gas line protectors, really?
He's right though. There is a protector for everything.
It seems like there is.
Look at how it's changed. Look at how it's changed the builder's perspective, and it's changed even the pace at which the derbies go through. I mean, there was this trend where as we were getting more and more money, the features were taking longer and longer to go. But now as we've got more influence of these aftermarket parts with all these different elements from the bumper all the way back through the engine, across the transmission, through the drive shaft, all the way to the back end and the back bumper, you've got stuff now that is allowing you to drive at a much harder pace for a much longer period of time, which is going to attract more casual fan attendance and ultimately put on a better show.
Definitely.
Well,
I mean, these parts.
I think what it's coming to is you're like Brian was saying, you're running out of add-ons. You're pretty much the parts that are breaking now are the inner core parts that you're bolting the add-ons to, and what's left. That's what's left. I mean, you got to go to better blocks. You got to go to heavier transmission cases. You got to it's
A-frames.
I mean, that's pretty much what's left. Really.
Or do they just start upgrading? I mean, do we get smarter and smarter, little here, little there? Because I think that is also.
But you're making them so hard. Everything's so hard. Everything's
Something's-
so hard and
something's gotta
protected,
give.
and everything else that you're. The weakest link now is what you're bolting everything to.
That's a good point.
And you have your billet tail, you have your billet tail shafts and stuff like that. But the only thing left is, like I said, the inner core, the engine blocks, and the transmission housings. It's unless you start custom making 3-speed, half-inch plate.
Which is
3-speed
next.
boxes,
That's
which is I mean, I've talked to a couple guys, and they're like, "Well, can we make our own transmission?" I'm like, "Hey, knock yourself out. You'll be a millionaire." But even the heavier dart blocks and stuff, I mean, they're getting broke. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
what are you gonna do?
I mean,
Something's got to give.
have you gone so far as to? I don't know. I mean, have you gone so far as to where you've contacted promoters and asked them? This is what I'm working on. What do you think? Have you taken that step, or have you maintained your own freedom, and you're going to build, and what's accepted is accepted, and what isn't accepted doesn't get built anymore?
Well, I coming from a drive shaft end, I've always wanted a front drive shaft hoop for the car, and I've wanted it mandatory. I've wanted some kind of hoop, and I could have cared less if somebody considered that as strengthening the car. I wanted some shield over the top and up over the top of the drive shaft. I would like to do some of those types of things. Look, this is what we need here. We need to, we need to protect, the driver from a shaft failure.
Yeah.
Let's get this done.
I think
Do this.
that's a hell of an idea, really,
Yeah,
for
that's-
up front, because half the time these guys hack the transmission tunnels so bad. It's,
no.
I've seen some scary
It's-
transmission.
yeah.
tunnels.
I agree.
You pretty much look down to your right, and right there's that yoke with the
put your hand in it.
with the drive shaft right there. I mean, it's
Right.
That makes
I
you nervous.
I
Torque tubes.
myself,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any issues with that myself.
And that's the thing. I
for-
mean,
for
like you look at
cars.
racing, and my brother races, and last year he had the rear yoke on his transmission, and he had a scatter shield, and it exploded the transmission, exploded the shield, and it stuck a bolt like half an inch into his leg. I mean, we don't turn them still same RPMs, but still, we don't have a scatter shield. We don't have all the stuff protected. And I mean, it's right there, right next to us.
I remember years ago, like on Rolling Wheels racetrack. I mean, them dirt guys. I mean, who was it there? The freaking dry shaft.
Will Cagle
came right up through and
basically retired him.
It rolled his leg up like a curtain.
Yeah.
But think of how many times on Facebook we've all seen pictures of guys showing pictures of trannies blowing up. It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
That stuff makes me nervous because that stuff's coming out of there with such speed. If they got somebody just right in the neck, in the
kill
chest,
him.
and that's not a joke.
No,
that's
not at
a
all.
Joke, you know.
There was a thing on Facebook where a guy had a GoPro in his car, and it caught the transmission in the GoPro, and it showed it exploded. And I mean, it was it expanded the case. I mean, it's that's not.
We don't ever want someone to get hurt because of
No,
that.
never.
No, that's one of those
I
things.
mean, Brian, are you talking about building something that goes around the transmission, or something that actually goes in the car to serve as a scatter
Well, I
shield?
think there again, it would go back into the promoter. I think everyone is so focused on making sure the cars are legal. I don't know if we've lost sight on some of those issues, but
That's a good point.
it could be as simple as a shield. Then there are some cars out there that already have them, and I've seen them, and some kind of shield over the top that directly mounts right off the tail housing plate, facing back. Have a limitation, or have an X amount of vendors that you can buy this part number for, and if you want to run our show, you have to run it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Has the sport gone too far? I mean, with there's nothing essentially left to bolt on, and we've got these cars, and you mentioned something there. You said, have we lost sight of some of that stuff on the points that maybe Josh was making? And it makes me wonder what your opinion is on that. Has the sport come too far? Has it evolved too much?
Well, I think with technology, it's definitely it's changing fast. It's changing fast, and I don't know if we are keeping up with it. Everything is just changing so fast. Look at the speed of the cars. Everything is working so well, gear ratios, and the days of the 300 and some gear ratio in a wagon is gone. You're in a 600 gear and 588, and you're hauling the mail.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean,
awesome.
everything's been so far advanced. Except safety. I mean, what was the last great safety innovation for derby cars?
Well,
Distributor protector.
A good point. What Brian just said with the gear ratio and the speed of the cars, it's getting to the point where it's evolving so much that the cars are so hard and they keep running, and the features are they're just such hard cars. Is the people inside them driving them?
Yeah.
I mean, your body
is taking all the abuse.
Just going to take so much. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of people blowing bubbles here in 10 years.
If you think about it, like in other sports, like NASCAR, like comes down and says, like, you guys have to run
have
these
to do
safe.
this. Yeah.
We don't have nothing like that. So and most derby guys aren't going to do that. It's like, hey, I'll just run my seatbelt. I don't care.
And that's the thing is, I can remember, when I remember back in the day, my brother got a new pair of gloves for racing. He gave me his old ones, and I remember wearing them at Derby, and they're like, why are you wearing those gloves? Why do you need them? And I'm like, because if it catches on fire, let out my fingers melted together. What? Why? That's just stupid. You're a pussy. And I'm like, okay, but
I have my fingers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my fingers, so life is
but
good.
I agree, because I still derby in shorts and t-shirts sometimes.
I'm a pussy who's going to be able to write.
No, that's
the thing.
Someone has to tell you not to do that, because there's some guys that will do dangerous stuff and just say like, I'll be all right, but all it takes is one.
All it takes is one time.
Well, that's
I know,
all. That's
I know.
all. Yeah, and that's
all it
pretty
takes.
much.
The older I get, the more I pay attention to that.
That's the thing. Like I noticed, when I watched Blizzard Bash last year, and then when we went to Minnesota, a lot of the guys are wearing fire suits.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think, I think one of those rules that should be implemented, because, and I'm a violator, because I don't even wear a neck roll. Ben wears a neck roll, but if you don't have money to do the safe. If you don't have money to do the stuff safely, then why do it? Why risk it? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we've had all these different things that have evolved, and we talk about the tank protector, which that's not protecting a gas tank.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
And we're talking about window bars so that we can keep cars out of the cabin. Yeah,
definitely.
figuratively. And we got the 4-point cage that we have to tie to the frame, so that doesn't come apart. That's not for driver
Here
protection
it is,
either.
Chris. The gas tank protector I have is a two-sided fence, because as soon as you evolved into the slider drive shafts, then cars were getting folded and molded and
Great
pushed
point.
so far
Great
that
point.
they are still running when your pinion angles, is
Yes.
drove right in the dirt.
And your stuff is up against your gas tank.
Yeah,
It literally
the
is.
speaker decks drove right in. I mean, so that's a double-edged sword on that. I mean, it can be utilized both ways.
That's a great point.
Brian,
Yeah,
I mean,
really is
Brian,
a
what
good point.
are some of your thoughts? I mean, we've
Yeah,
if
look
they-
at how many people are protecting that tank from a shaft going through the floor up to the tank,
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody.
right? I mean, so
Nobody.
you're talking protector from the back forward.
Right.
I think I'm the only
Are
one
you
that puts a steel
talking
plate under
protected
it.
from
Yeah,
the
probably.
ground straight up?
right,
That's
and,
true.
and that's
I never thought of that.
I have
Really?
one actually.
And has that just been no, you can't do that, or has it just been something overlooked? Or
I always I put a steel plate under mine all the time.
I got
Full
one
floor
under
steel
mine.
plate.
I think it's funny that Brian says that he never thought about that because we were side by side last week when I was talking about the steering wheels. I've often thought about what's going to happen when the drive shaft breaks off and comes through the gas tank because they're all mounted in the back seat, all
Yeah.
of them.
They are.
Sure.
Yeah.
right there, I've heard of a few that have gone right through their tank and it drained the tank.
Yikes.
Well, I'm glad
That's the
that's
best
lucky.
thing that could happen.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
the
if you
best thing
think
that could
about it, the
happen.
worst thing that could happen is just dragging. I mean, all it takes once that gas is in there is one little spark, and it's
That's not a game.
no. That's,
I
that's
don't like fire.
Hey, Brian,
One time I was in a car, I had a two car rollover, and my gas cap came off my tank, and my helmet filled up with gas.
Oh no.
wow.
Oh no.
Gas
No
and water,
thanks.
both, because I had a double tank, and I had it all iced down, so it was like a big
Yep.
a Moroso cool can or whatever. It was a giant cool can. But anyway, here comes the gas, here comes the ice, here comes the water, and my helmet's filling up.
Oh.
Wow,
man.
that would not be.
Mess. It was a mess.
Well, it's,
So what happened?
I got I think Jason happened to be there and his sister, and they came through the back window and pulled me out. But I clipped my seatbelt, I fell down, and out I went. But
Yep.
I mean, that's one spark, one issue, one
Yes.
thing happens, and it can just happen.
Hey, Brian, I've had an idea, and maybe I'll tell it to you, and you could actually do something with it or make it happen. Have you ever?
Brian, I apologize in
Let's
advance
hear
for
it.
that.
Have you ever thought about making a fuel cell with the bladder inside of it, like race cars run? Has that ever been anything? I mean, I know it would be a little more expensive, but again, for safety wise, I mean, because that's why the race cars do it. I mean, all the cars that aren't supposed to crash have fuel cells with bladders in them. But our main goal is to hit each other at 30 or 40 miles an hour, and we're running either old boat tanks or even if you buy a new tank, I mean, it really doesn't have the protection of a tank with a bladder. I mean, is that?
No, they're thin.
Yeah, they are.
They're thin.
I mean, have you ever considered something like that, or checked, possibly planning something like that, or?
We just as far as fuel cells, we stayed right away from it. We just
That's a major liability, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes
it's
me.
an issue. I
yeah.
think it is. I
Yeah.
just didn't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, it's like something happens, everybody's pointing fingers. Well, you should have done this, you should have done that. It's like, well, hey.
I mean, how many guys even the way that they've got their vent structured in those, or how their caps are just on the top? How many guys run a rollover plug?
No way.
Nobody.
You know what I mean?
There's
Unless
some
you're
on the
actually
market
running a fuel
now.
cell. There's a lot of people I know that actually run the small, actual, legitimate racing fuel cells.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
they're
thought
out
about
there.
getting one of those.
And
They're out
then
there.
there's the ladle heads that think they're going to get in my shows with a plastic boat tank. It's like, dude, it ain't happening.
How
You
about
know,
metal ones? Because I still use my metal ones.
And they get so
do I.
mad. I'm like, guys, man, you're going to get flipped on your roof, or it's going to get blasted apart. And I said, you're going to get a gas bath. Hopefully that's it. If not, you're going to burn up like a crispy treat.
I remember
It's
back
like-
in the day, somebody pulled into Waterloo with a
5-gallon
5-gallon
bucket.
or jug, like a 5-gallon jug, with a hose run down into it with tape.
And that ran on a Wednesday night, and they brought it back Saturday and caught it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I couldn't even-
literally, seriously, and that's when we're
a
all
promoter,
running
yeah.
Imperials.
Yeah.
And we're smoking shit down there, and they're
Yeah.
like, I'm like, dude, I could have killed somebody.
That's a bomb. That was a bomb
Yeah,
in the
it was
back
a
of the
bomb.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Maybe that's the next. Product is a nice gas tank with the correct dimensions that fits in that envelope of what everybody wants for the back end, and go to one of those manufacturers and have them made.
yeah. Either
could
that, or these guys that are manufacturing these tanks, the stainless tanks or whatever, use. Who gives a shit if the fuel cell weighs 50 pounds when you put
Yeah,
it in your car?
use something thicker.
Empty. Use half inch.
Yeah.
Use 3/8.
And that's the thing. I mean,
you
like
know, something that's going to be a little bit more
like the fuel cylinder modified. I mean, that isn't anything. I mean, it's just normal. I mean, I couldn't tell you what gauge aluminum, but it's aluminum within the bladder inside of it. But I mean, it's nothing that would be all that extravagant to build or. But
that's a good point, Ben, because I've heard of guys. Yeah, I actually heard that guys are bolting them to the floor. Floors are bending and peeling them apart, peeling the gas tanks apart and splitting them open because the floors bend. And that's dangerous. I mean, again,
I
another
think that
thing
needs to be, really addressed, and someone needs to say, you can't do that.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not gonna help you enough. For the potential issue.
Agree.
The one thing that I think would probably do the most good, just across the board.
Unified rules.
No. Well, there's pluses and minuses to that, but I mean that's different. Just at some of these high-end shows, the really, really top-tier events, mandatory fire extinguisher in the car. Just get a small one. You can mount it right to the training tunnel or right there on the floor or something. And some places have gone to that, but some places have. But
you know what though?
Just across the board. Just say fire extinguishers in the car. Even something as simple as that.
I'd rather just get my happy butt right out of the car as opposed to fighting the fire.
You don't need to fight the fire, but if you're out, somebody else coming has the fire extinguisher there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's better
that's actually a good point. That's a.
Yeah, if you're able to get out, but if you ever had your bell rung and you're kind of a little loopy, I mean, things aren't quite, it's not like you're,
that's true.
You're
alert and you're not, you're not 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Brian's got a good point. I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a good friend of ours on the show this year that he ran a car. He's a bigger guy. His car caught on fire. He couldn't get out. He could not get out, and he didn't try. He just sat there. And if he had a fire extinguisher, I guarantee he would have grabbed it and sprayed it. But he was
and then went right back to Derby.
But he literally could not get out. And Brian brings up a good point. I mean, you're on fire. You're going to be looking for that fire extinguisher.
Yep.
Yeah, right. I've seen guys big enough to where they can't weld their door. They had to get in their door and shut the door.
Sure.
Yeah, we know a few people like that.
Could you imagine? I can't get. That makes me nervous because I'm claustrophobic.
So how did you
like in the car?
How did you like the Minnesota car then with the net? That must have made you a little.
It did screw with me a little bit because you only have one way out.
Yeah.
If the fire's on your right side, you're going through your fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wondered about that. I didn't know if I've
had a lot of Minnesota guys ask, "Are you going to bring that back to New York?" And no was the answer.
It looks
Dan
neat.
Bolton's the only one that does it.
Yeah.
It looks neat, but I'm not I want as many ways as possible to get out if I need to.
Definitely.
Hey, Brian, do you have any idea how many slider shafts you've produced and sold?
300 a year for maybe the past 3-4 years.
That's not bad. That averages almost one a day. That's not bad.
That's awesome. Good for you. That's awesome.
if you don't count Saturday and Sunday in theory and 5 days a week, I guess that would be more than
right.
Wow.
As far as work days.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know that the volume is still there. I mean, there's some other guys coming out with them, and I think how many do you need? As long as everything is working okay, you're going to have the people who are going to run over a bumper or wreck them or whatever, and they're going to need to replace them or have them gone over, but. I don't know where the saturation point is of that either.
Right.
Good point.
Right.
Brian, I hate to cut you short, but we got to get Russ on the line. This has been an awesome conversation. We're gonna turn the tables and we're gonna throw the ball into Russ Clark from Smash It. We're gonna put the ball in his court and let him tell us how hard his life is now that you're making all these aftermarket parts. We really appreciate it. We look forward to doing this again soon, man. This has been good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Have
man.
a good one.
Bye now.
All right, bye.
We got to have him back on because I just thought of like 10 questions I want.
Oh, I know. I got
to have him back.
Yeah.
I just thought like a whole bunch
You
came
can
in my
just rock,
head.
you can rock and roll.
Brian asked a good question.
But seriously, dude, the fuel cell thing is just.
Yeah, it's something that we're gonna get into. We got the opportunity. We'll probably chat with that a little bit with Russ Clark here in a minute. Right after this, we'll be back in about
New
3.
rules are just right. Set aside July 19th for the reinvented Keystone Nationals. Again this summer, Bo Lockwood will host the Keystone Nationals at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds in Brookville, Pennsylvania. A revamped rulebook will help welcome an all-star field as the limited well division takes center stage and a feature paying $5,000 to win. Pre-entries for the stock division are already full. For more details, join the Keystone Nationals community online at www.facebook.com/ Keystone Nationals. Once again, the Keystone Nationals, July 19th, 2014, at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds, Brookville, Pennsylvania. What better way to spend Memorial Day than seeing a bunch of cars being smashed? Spend the holiday with Smash Demolition Derbies as they again host the Bash for Cash at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Planned for May 24th and 25th, the card is headlined by the co-main event, the 11,000 to win DerbyParts.com 80s and newer class, and the DerbyTees.com 10,000 to win Turn Back the Clock division. Other classes include full-size trucks, U-Compacts, street stocks, and the 80s and newer wire-up division. Gates open daily at 10 a.m. with action to follow at 4. For more information and details, visit the online home of Bash for Cash at www.smashitderby.com. Total Destruction Demo Productions is primed for an explosive 2014. Based out of Trumansburg, Steve Manshaki and Lead Inspector Ben Host have a busy summer with 4 epic events over 7 nights scheduled all over New York State. The schedule starts with the Spring Fling in Morris, New York, June 14th. Total Destruction then hosts 2 nights of carnage at the Ontario County Fair in Canandaigua, New York, July 22nd and 26th. Then the grueling Double Down follows with the Otsego County Fair in Morris planned for July 31st and August 3rd, and the Franklin County Fair in Malone set for August 2nd and 4th. For more details, visit www.totaldestructiondemo.com or call 607-769-6820. O'Reilly Auto Parts proudly presents the Plymouth County Fair July 26th, Lamar's, Iowa. Promoter Brandon Tyson has teamed with Ultimate Derby to bring a national level to one of the most aggressive and largest county fairs in the Midwest. 3,000 to win modified, 1,500 to win stocks, and 1,000 to win compacts. Passengers are welcome if you dare to ride along. The event is streamed free to the public online with 10,000 people. All courtesy of O'Reilly Auto Parts, the Plymouth County Fair, July 26th, Lamar's, Iowa. Online at www.plymouthcoderby.com. That's www.plymouthcoderby.com. The Seneca County Fair will be held Thursday, July 17th and Saturday, July 19th in Waterloo, New York. The 2-day format includes something for everyone with a taste for elimination motorsports. Thursday's card is headlined by the Junk Run, allowing S10 Blazers, Rangers, minivans, Jeeps, and Ford Explorers. The card will include qualifying, advancing full-size competitors to Saturday's full-size championship, and then it will kick off with the 4-cylinder figure 8 races. Championship night is July 19th. A full menu of qualifying heats for full-size cars will set the field. Then the 4-cylinder run and done will crown the 2014 small car champion. The night concludes with the full-size championship action, with winners representing Seneca County at the New York State Fair Championship, Labor Day weekend in Syracuse, New York. That's the Seneca County Fair, July 17th and 19th. To learn more, visit the fair online at www.senecacountyfairny.com.
And welcome back to the Crash Course. We've got Russ Clark joining us here on the hotline. Russ, welcome to the show.
Hi there. How are you guys?
Hey, man. Thanks for taking some time out and joining us. We wanted to get right into the conversation. You are the lead tech inspector at Bash for Cash and at the Smash Derbies. I mean, how tough have some of these aftermarket parts made life for you guys?
You know, over the last couple of years, it's gotten really tougher. It's not so many new parts being made. It's just the original parts being made bigger and bigger. So that poses a problem in its own self.
In terms of the guys that are developing these aftermarket parts, would it be easier for you guys in the inspection lines if they reached out to you ahead of time and said, look, this is what we're developing, this is what we want to do, what do you think about it before it even comes to your track? Would it make things easier for you, or is it going to just sort of give them a little bit more incentive to find different ways of doing the same thing?
You know, it'd probably be easier. I mean, it would kind of take the element of surprise out of it, where when you first see it, you're like, holy crap, what is that? You know, some of these things has gotten huge. Some of these engine protectors, I mean, I can remember seeing the first distributor protector here in Ohio roughly 20 years ago in the Derby. It was just a flat plate bolted to the intake.
Yeah.
Keep the body off the distributor. And now, you know, you see them now, they're almost as wide as the engine. You know, sticks up 1.5 feet off from it. So, yeah, it would help if they would contact promoters and see what they allow, what they don't allow, what they're thinking, you know, kind of come to a happy medium with them.
One of the questions that we put to Brian Nerat when we were talking to him earlier tonight was as the conversation went along and we talked a little bit about how there's so many equipment innovations that maybe at times it appears that safety has been sort of left behind. In that, has the sport... We asked him, did the sport come too far? And I'm wondering what you think. Has the sport come too far? Have the cars become too hard, or is there even such a thing as too hard?
Well, being from Ohio, it's
No, cars aren't too hard. Next question.
in this state alone, you can see we have a street stock division that we just started 2 years ago that you can't do anything to the car. It starts with the key, run it, tear it up, junk it. To I've seen shows here that's full outlaw. You can do anything you want to them. So, I mean, being hard cars running, I'm kind of used to it. It's been my entire life here, so. And, yeah, I think the sport I think it's the parts that have evolved faster than everybody thought it would. And it's gotten to the point now where they're making the cars so hard. The weak link of these cars now are starting to be the drivers. You're starting to see them get their bells rung a lot faster, not kind of loopy where you want to get them out of the car. They get mad at you, but, it's the best thing to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's starting to evolve too quick.
Where have you thought, or maybe you've already reached for that matter, have you reached the limit of what you're going to allow them to do within the Smash It fold as a whole?
Me and Tim, we ran into some things this year that we've seen for the first time that we didn't like. And, we've talked to a few people about it, and it's starting to go a little bit too far. So, yeah, we're really starting to rethink all these add-on protectors and, things like that. I mean, they're just starting to get way too big. When it's starting to make the cars last for, 5 or 6 derbies, it becomes a problem.
Right.
I think when you build cars, to the point where you're breaking blocks, I think that's just insane. I mean, that's that's one of the hardest parts. I mean, it's cast, so it's not as
I've
strong
seen you
as-
hit with a core support before.
Yeah, and I didn't break the block though.
Didn't break the block.
Harmonic balancer, but not the block. But it's just insane. These guys that are building cars, and that's what's given away is blocks. That's just
It's blocks, and like Russ was saying, it's people.
Yeah,
I mean
that too.
People are they're going to start coming out punch drunk. I mean,
This is interesting. I mean, really, as a whole, this is an interesting course that tonight is. He's not
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, that's
really, seriously.
It's crazy that Derby's got to the point where we're worried about guys just getting knocked out. They're hitting so hard. I mean,
that's the thing. I mean, back in the day, the hardest hit I ever took was a blindside shot, and it knocked. I know I was concussed.
It's a football reference.
But now, I mean, guys are hitting headlight to headlight that fast. I saw some stuff from Spring Explosion, and I mean, you can see guys' heads bouncing.
Dude,
I mean,
just the evolution from the last time that we ran out. A bunch of us ran out in Ohio. I mean, the last time 3 years ago, we were out in Ohio.
Yep.
And took the guys ran a car out there. I mean, just the evolution, just in that. It just makes my head spin and just.
I mean, Russ, you've got your work cut out for you with the number of cars that are entered now for Bash for Cash here in just about 12 days. You guys have got a tall order to get all those cars through inspection alone.
Yeah, I mean, here, like you said, in 12 days, and 2 weeks from well, today actually, I've probably already will have looked at more cars than most promoters will all year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got well over 300 cars entered for the show, and like Ben touched on, he was out here a few years ago. He helped us out.
Yep.
Out here, I mean, if you're on a derby track and the guy's coming toward you with his front end, hang on, because you're getting hit as fast as he's coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't want to hit with their backs anymore. They keep telling me that it hurts their neck when they turn around. So
it's true.
It is easier to hit with the front.
It's 10 times easier to drive forward.
Oh yeah.
Well, unless you're doodle.
and
Or
and
bronze.
with these, everybody thinks, hey, I need a bigger engine protector. I'd protect my block. Don't tie them into your car where you're trying to hold the front ends down and
Right.
use them as a battering ram. That's going to keep the block from breaking.
Right.
Sure.
It's just little things like that, and the vendors has went a little crazy making things bigger, but it's basically the drivers. They're the ones using these parts for this, this way, and so they're just trying to keep up with the drivers for the demand of them.
And that's the thing. I mean, it doesn't matter, what motorsport you're in. Drivers are always going to want to push the limit just
builders,
a little
oh,
bit,
yeah.
just a little bit better, just a little bit. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you always want just a little bit
You
better.
want to keep up with the Joneses.
Yep,
Pretty much.
absolutely.
I mean, it's just.
But competition is what keeps us growing.
Right.
I
No,
mean,
absolutely.
We need it. We
Absolutely.
Need to keep trying. We need those guys wanting to be better than the next guy.
I know this. I was saying that the conversation tonight has taken an interesting course. I didn't expect some of the answers some of these questions that we've got, and it's an interesting place. And it comes back to the same thing that we've touched on 32 times now out of 33 episodes that we've had, that split where things have gone here, and people that want to go are continuing to go more and more extreme, and people are coming back towards stock, and this thing keeps splitting. But it seems like the people that are going that way are still happy.
The one thing that Brian touched on when I was talking to him, listening to him, because I listened to the first half of the show, is the fuel cells.
Yeah.
Ben, you inspect cars. I mean, I don't know if the rest of you have or not. You'd be amazed at some of these cars, how well built, how much money they got in them. And you reach in, you grab the fuel tank, and it's loose.
Exactly.
Leaking gas, or, I mean, that's something that, me and Tim ran derbies up until a couple years ago. Tim sold all of his stuff. I periodically ran. I wasn't big into running. I enjoy building cars more than anything. But that was the first thing you did, made sure the gas tank's tight. And we built a platform that hung off the rear bar, and set the gas tank up on it. And I'd rather see everybody do that, instead of bolting them to the floor. Because I've seen a lot of these stainless tanks split. Like I think Josh pointed out, the floors bend, and stainless is, it's unforgiving.
Yeah.
You put pressure on it, it's going to crack.
Yep. Is that something that maybe going forward is going to be built into the rule book?
There's some things that I would love to cover in safety, but it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Oh yeah.
If you add something, everybody complains. Oh, you're going to make me spend more money, and then it's.
Oh yeah, like that's a big deal over there.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
But at times, people just don't think. You got to think your safety first. I mean, especially putting these fuel tanks in, the way you run your fuel line, things like that. I mean, just the basics that you think everybody running derbies would have.
Yep.
Oh, they
just.
Well, we also don't want to hurt other people.
And they get, and like Russ touched, they get absolutely hopping pissed, hopping mad. It's like, dude, you got to tighten your fuel cell up. Why? There ain't nothing wrong with that. I've run it for years. I'm like, because you're not going to burn up at my show. It's like either tighten it. You just spent $5,000-$6,000, but doing into this car. Tighten up some bolts. It's like put another strap around it, and they don't get that concept. They're just.
But then again, there's a lot of guys out there, and I even fall into this where it's like I've ran it like that,
yeah.
and I'll do it all the time, and then someone will say like, no, I'm telling you, and it's like, okay, I understand, but that's you as an inspector's got to pick it out, and but if they're telling you to change something, change it. I mean, just because it works for you doesn't mean. Inspectors are seeing a lot more cars than us drivers,
and that's the thing too. I mean, if you're talking about something as a gas tank, I mean. Why would you argue that? I mean,
I agree.
That makes no sense at all. I mean, the way you got it bolted in or, in theory, or strapped in, that's not going to make you win or lose a derby if it's loose or tight. Just tighten the damn thing down because you don't want it loose.
Dude, they're wingers. They're wingers out there. But,
I've had a gas tank break, and I looked in the back seat. I actually, thank God, it was at the end of the derby, but I looked back, and it was a pond of gas. I had a nice, clean car, and it wasn't seeping out.
That's
I just thought that was a bomb back there. I immediately jumped out. It really was.
It truly is.
On me, I said to myself, from now on, make sure you take care of your gas tanks better, because I just threw one in real quick, bolted it in real quick, and I broke it.
Yeah, that's
Russ,
scary.
I mean, you guys run a pretty tight ship over there. I mean, with what you have seen, you said you've already seen some cars. Are those cars clear through inspection now, or do they still have to go through line day of the show?
No. I mean, I haven't seen just pictures on Facebook, and just things of new products coming out is what me and Tim saw. And we saw a few things that we didn't like. There's a few products we've approved, and then, we were approved for last year, and they ran them, and now this year I've seen a picture of them just a few weeks ago, and it looks totally different than what we approved.
Exactly.
Right.
So, we're not too happy about that aspect of it. And, like you said, this year we're really going to rethink this stuff, and, we're going to have to put limitations in there on what you can and can't do. It'd be great if, the vendors would get a hold of promoters and say, hey, what are you thinking about this? I mean, I know they don't want their products being released early. I understand that, and that would be the last thing I'd ever do, but, just work with us a little bit, and so the element of surprise doesn't work too good on the promoter side of it,
Well, at least so they would,
like when guys do is have something showed up that's going to get everybody there mad.
Yeah.
So.
Ben.
Well, like Russ, I mean, I think a lot of it, like you were talking. I mean, you seen one product last year, and you see it this year, and it's totally different. people are so resourceful nowadays, and there's a lot of, I hate to use the word copycatting, but they'll see a certain protector and see something else, and they'll use their own resources and make their own that's bigger and better, you know. So I mean, I can't say no because I do the same thing myself. I mean, I build everything myself, so I mean, I can fault to that myself, but. And that's where people they always want to be on the leading edge.
Guys who make the stuff in their own garage, I mean, just with what's laying around, it's going to be a little bit bigger.
Yep.
But it's never designed from them to do exactly what the purchased ones do.
Right. Yeah,
and basically it's how you let them put them in.
Yep.
You know, if you limit how, we've been looking at different things already this year. You know, maybe some changes we need to make next year. I mean, we don't talk really stuff like that until the end of the year, but we talk all year, and that's how the rules get changed, and we see what happens, and we see, we don't like this trend, and we got to fix this, and everybody complains about rules changing every year, but promoters have to stay ahead of drivers.
I mean, that's totally on point there. We talked with Tim before, and we talked a little bit about how this show has evolved from being $1,500 to win, and now you're paying out $11,000 and $10,000 for two separate features. How tough is it from where you guys started to where you are right now? How tough is it year to year to write a rule book to keep that in line?
Well, and there's no way to write a complete rule book for derbies. I mean, it'll be 100 pages long, and derby drivers won't read the one page that it is right now. I mean, they'll glance through them. Nobody reads the rules. They just build a car, it seems like. And, it's tough. I mean, I hate adding things to it. But just with a few word changes here and there, like from last year to this year in the 80s class at the Bash, we only changed about 8 words, but it changed the rules a lot. Just a few word changes in a rule can change, the build of a car a lot. And, there's a few more that we're looking at. And I don't know if we'll go that way, but, it's something we got in our mind that we're starting to really look at. And the last thing we want to do is get anybody hurt doing this. And these cars are starting to be too hard where the drivers are going to get hurt in them.
Yep. But what's funny is the drivers don't care. And really, you almost need promoters to slow it down because guys are guys, and we're just going to fight to the death is really where we're at now. And guys are willing to knock themselves stupid for that prize money. We are. If you said to me you're going to get concussion today, I'm like, I'm still going out there.
The amount we've already had. The amount I've already had, not even.
I've been knocked out a couple times.
How old are you, Decker? How old are you?
31.
You got about 9 years from now. You're going to start second guessing them concussions. Stuff starts hurting more.
I already did.
In 9 years, he's going to be dribbling basketballs nobody can see.
I'm fine with that. Just give me a good derby career.
Did I just hear Josh say he's 31?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I'm the old
old man.
I'm the old man. I'm the old man of the room, Russ.
I went to my first derby 4 years before he was born.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Josh is the baby of the group.
Yeah,
He's
he
the youngest
is.
one here.
Yeah.
And, it's tough. I mean, this bash, inspecting the cars here, we got a lot of people we bring in. We bring in extra people other than the people who work for us all year. And it's tough to do it. I mean, last year I started inspecting cars at noon on Friday. And I inspected Friday night until 1 o'clock in the morning, started back at 7:30 Saturday morning, inspected until it was probably 10:30, and then all day Sunday. So, after the weekend, come Monday, I don't want to really do anything, but there's still a lot of work that has to be done, packing everything up. And, but it takes a lot out of you, this one show.
You guys definitely, I mean, you definitely pull all the stops. I mean, I know it's different guys from when I was out there, and a lot of the same guys, but it's top notch. Like I said to Tim, I mean, you guys do a hell of a job with that many cars. I mean, it's nonstop.
Russ, I know you got a whole bunch of, like, every year you get different inspectors. Some years you got the same, but who do you got this year? Are you open to? Do you guys say who they have inspecting before the show starts, or no? I'm always interested.
actually, Josh, what we do is me and Tim tend not to tell anybody who's working for us that show.
Yep.
Right.
And the only reason why we do that is because it kind of keeps the confusion down. I want all the rules to come through me. The questions for rules either come through me or Tim.
Definitely.
Right.
Tim will answer the basic ones, like how wide the strapping can be, certain things like that. If it's anything in depth, that I answer them. And that way it's one person answering all the questions, and there's no confusion the day of the show.
Totally agree with that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
That
but
makes
also,
all
I know
sense.
like a lot of people like hearing who you have as the inspector because it's kind of cool to have different inspectors. I think it kind of adds to a show when you got guys from all different areas kind of coming and looking at the same cars. I actually like that part of it.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, we got a guy coming up from Kentucky, and the rest of them are here from Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of them are, derby drivers. All of them's done this stuff for years, know what they're doing.
Have all of them run your shows?
Basically, everybody who got working for us has been sent home a couple of times for cheating, so...
Oh, yeah.
Hey, cheaters make the best inspectors, man.
That's why Ben's so good.
I would say without my nephew, it'd be tough for me to do it, because, with him working with us, I can leave the inspection line if I need to go take care of something else and, leave him there. And, and I always note somebody there has our best interest in mind at the forefront. At the end of the day, we want our stamp on this. This
definitely.
is the way it has to be. And, we just want to be fair to everybody. And
When
if you've ever inspected cars, you'll know it's like a cat and mouse game.
Oh, yeah.
Some days you're the cat, other days you're the mouse. And it sucks when you're the mouse, but...
Oh, I always got the big A on my shirt.
No. Not you. I don't believe it. Now, when guys go into inspection line, some of these bigger shows we've heard that, if they don't get through it 2 times, you guys don't let them go back through. What do you guys do with that? Is it 2 times? 2 times, and if you don't pass, you're out?
Okay, what we do, we got 3 times. Your third time through, if you come back the third time and you haven't fixed everything on your list, you don't get a run. Right. This year we're going to do inspections a little bit different. There's going to be a certain number. If you got this many things to fix in your car, you're going to get 1 time.
Right.
That makes sense.
And then, you just got to go with the flow on it. I mean, if it's little things here and there, but if it's 10 major things,
right.
Hey, go fix this stuff. I'm going to explain every one of them. This is how I want it fixed. And when you come back, if it's not fixed that way, then we have a big problem. And, last year kind of showed everybody. We sent 43 cars home.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
To the show. So we don't have a problem with turning people away if they don't go to the rules. So.
Well,
that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah, and you guys,
it is.
And
Man,
you,
that hurts.
And you definitely made a statement, Russ. I mean, this year, guys are going to have their shit together, more or less. It's you're either going to build the rules or you're not going to run.
But Ben's right. That's how you get respect.
Yeah.
That's how you
know,
get.
Yeah.
This year, there's a few things. If we find a car that has the body plated or the frame plated
Right.
or something like that, you don't get the chance to fix that.
Right.
You cheated. It's a blatantly cheating of the rules.
Right.
Just take it home, take it somewhere else, and play with it there.
Well, and like a lot of people I know, I from my standpoint, I mean, people don't realize the amount of time that consumes of guys. Well, yeah, you got to fix this and come back through, and they only fix half of it so they can go back through again and this and that. That just when you're trying to, as a promoter side of it, when you're trying to get a show started on time, and you've got 300 plus cars to look at. I mean,
Well,
literally, you only have a certain amount of time.
I like the 3 times and out
for each
Yeah,
car.
that makes sense.
And
if a guy has got to go more than 3 times, you're being an asshole. I mean, really, get your stuff. We all can fix it. I got your list. I can fix this if I want it. I'm choosing to be a jerk off and try to push it each time. And eventually, the promoter's got to say, like, no, take it. I'm sick of you. I mean, especially again, 300 cars.
I understand that. I mean, we go to 3 times. I mean, the first time you come back would be your second time through inspection. I mean, if you miss 1 or 2 things, say, okay, not a problem. The third time when you come back, you better have it fixed, And we are on a time constraint here. The show has to start. The fans there wait. They don't want to wait.
No.
And the way we do inspections at this show is we have, 9 classes, 8, 9 classes it's running. We inspect the DerbyTees.com class and the DerbyParts.com class first. After them cars are all inspected and done, then I'll start with the other classes.
right.
So there's none of the other classes come up through when these two classes are getting inspected. That way, you don't go from this build to this build to this build.
Great idea.
We got two lines. The 80s and newer cars will go through one. The old iron cars will go through the other.
Yep.
That way, you're not jumping back and forth because the builds are completely different.
Yeah.
The turn back the clock class,
Way different.
you guys wouldn't call it stock, but for out here, it's pretty stock.
No, they're different. I agree
80s
with
and
you.
newer class, everything about them cars are just made to be badass.
Yeah.
Super badass.
I can't wait,
we're-
Russ.
yeah.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, this is
We
this is gonna be awesome.
So many New Yorkers are coming. We can't wait.
We're looking forward to it, and that's coming up soon. We're all anxious to get out there. It's going to be a great weekend with that many cars going through inspection line. I can't believe it's after 7:00 already.
I wish I was inspecting cars.
We gotta.
Yeah, I know. I wish you were too.
Ben's over here off mic trying to find a job. Russ, I appreciate you taking some time out from your night and chatting with us a little bit about this topic. It's been an excellent conversation, and we look forward to doing it again here real soon, if not before we get down there Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, if I don't talk to you before then, I'll see you guys here in about 12 days.
12
Sounds
days.
good, man.
All right, Russ.
We'll
Have
see
a
you
good
soon.
one.
Okay,
Thanks, Russ.
thanks.
Dude, there's going to be like half of New York State there, Derby driver-wise. I mean,
Yeah, watching.
yeah, there's just going to
Yeah,
be a
there
whole. We're going to just take over part of the grandstand.
It's gonna be fun. You won't be because you're gonna be working.
Oh, yeah. I'll be working.
That always straight that out, Chris.
Yeah,
You said
I heard your boss.
You said you want to be more of a boss. There you go.
You're the face of the podcast.
Well, I'll delegate. I'm
You're
good
gonna
at
delegate?
delegating. Yeah, I'm a good supervisor.
Easy with the delegation.
I
buddy.
just
Brian,
yeah.
write this down.
A little bit of how that works out.
yeah.
Just message me.
Josh.
Send me a message.
Josh.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
I already delegated.
Oh, I can't redelegate? I got you.
No.
All right, fair enough. I understand. I know how I roll.
You have one job. Be pretty and get fans.
Hey, I'm doing that.
Oh, God, we're in trouble.
Be pretty.
I'm going to shave,
See, look at him.
do my
He's
nails,
going to take a bath.
As long as you're not emotional, right?
get a haircut. Better hide your old ladies.
Keep your mold.
Thanks for that,
All right,
Josh.
sorry. I'm just joking.
We're out of here. Put a fork in it. We'll
Done.
I'm sorry.
see you guys next week.